Yes! Welcome everyone to Blender Today 47. We're celebrating. Okay, enough, guys. Okay. We're celebrating today. The Blender Development Fund has reached 25,000 euros or $28,000 US dollars for development, for pure development. So, welcome everybody. It's past 9 p.m. here in Amsterdam. I have so many things to talk to you. There are improvements on the Workbench Engine. There are improvements on the some grease pencil stuff has been also there. I have some Sculpt fixes and new features in there. Thank you for the thumbs up. It means the audio and the light, everything it's okay. Everything, the quality is fine. There are UI fixes too. There's 3D view stuff. Freestyle has been getting some attention as well. There are some community contributions about the UI, and we're going to talk about money, about what's going on. Where is this all this 25,000 euros? Imagine if we had all of that money. Where is it going? Well, we're going to talk about it. So towards the end of the second half of this episode, we're gonna be answering some questions. If it's the first time here, we do this weekly. We share the news, what's going on in the Blender world, Blender development 2.8, and the community in general. So let's get to it. I want to first I'm gonna let's see the news. Fund.blender.org. For those that don't know, there is a way that you can contribute to Blender code, Blender development, Blender itself. It's by joining the Blender Development Fund. It's a subscription model that you can get. You get any of these subscriptions, and you can get you're helping Blender basically. There are companies that are also joined. There's people like smaller companies and studios and individuals also, and you get to have your name, like a movie, like an open movie project, but for Blender development. This has been a bit confusing for some people because it's it's not, the chat is not enabled. Let me fix that for you so you can see yourself chatting there on the window. There you go. So this has been a bit confusing for some people. Where do we ask the questions? We can ask them. Wait. We can ask them actually in Blender Today. So I'm gonna make blender.today is the website. This is a community, by the way. I don't know if you heard of it. So a lot of people see the show, but they don't know that actually this is a website where you can share your news, your updates, your artwork. It's like a forum, more like Reddit style. So this is where I'm making the thread, and you're gonna see it very, very soon. So here you go. I'm gonna paste the link, and there you go. You can post your questions there. So the confusion is that there are many ways in that Blender gets money, like gets the donations. If you can donate to the Blender Foundation, like a separate thing. There is the Blender Cloud, which was the only way of helping out Blender. The development fund has been around for many years now, but now this, since a few months, is now that it has an actual website where you can contribute. So let me pour my drink. I'm celebrating, and it's a me, myself, and IPA. It's a, I don't know, it's from Harlem, a town nearby. So the Blender Development Fund was a bit of a it was like a PayPal account basically, where you can just contribute. Now it has a bit more of a structure, and for that there were a lot of confusion. So the confusions were, where is the money going? What is going on with the development? What is the, how does it all work? Well, so Ton and Francesco sit down and said, okay, Pablo, tonight you have the Blender Today. We're gonna make a nice drawing for you where you can talk about it. So when you donate money to Blender, whatever way you do it, you can do it from blender.org. You go to, it's in the donate, the big donate button. You can donate one time, or you can also donate with the Blender Development Fund. So when you do that, it goes to the Blender Foundation. Development Fund also goes to the foundation, and then the foundation takes care of giving it to the developers. So it all goes to development plus some of the like the overhead, which is like administration, the taxes stuff, the events. If we go to or if someone goes to NSE or a developers conference, for example, there's the Libre Graphics meeting, and the Blender Foundation offered 2 developers to go there and meet other developers from other open source projects, and even give a talk or presentation there. So that kind of stuff, or NSE, or PR basically. And then infrastructure, which is like the actual building and the bills and where everything happens, where the Blender Code Quest happened. So all of that comes from the foundation, plus the development. Then there is the Blender Institute, which is the separate, more commercial approach of Blender. So the foundation is not commercial at all. It's completely a foundation. It's no risks at all. The Institute has a few more risks. It has the Blender Cloud, which is an investment, but also it could go really well. That's where we make open movies. And the open movies are how we get Blender fixed and running. And it also hires developers. The Blender Institute is hiring developers. So when you join the Blender Cloud, you're actually also helping Blender development. So that's the thing, is people are confused, like, what do I do? Cloud or development fund? They both help. If you want to if you don't care about open movies or training, if you already know everything in Blender, you don't need to know anything else, then you can go with the development fund. If you want to use the texture library in the Blender Cloud, or want to learn stuff, like for example the new grease pencil training that just came out on Blender Cloud last week, for example, if you want to watch that to learn about the cloud. If you want to see the production logs from Spring, for example, look at this boy here, looking all concerned to the camera. Actually, I didn't know where to look at. That's why that's my face. So the training from Grease Pencil. So if you want to get all of that, then the cloud is for you. And that's pretty much it. It's not a big deal. Then there is the Blender Network, which is a separate thing, but it's also going to the Blender Foundation. More on that later, but basically that's the gist of it. If you have any questions, ask away. We have nuked Blender today. No way. You killed our baby? Oh no, you actually have nuked the server. So right click, select this down as well, because it's the same Blender community website. So this is flattering, guys. Thank you very much. All right, 4 questions only. Because the website is down. Or not, because it has 7 questions. Wow. Okay, well, good luck. I'm not gonna hog the website for you. Let's continue. Let's get to the news. Is everything clear now? You know where your money is going? If you need to know more, then if you want to know who are the names, somebody on Twitter was asking, but who are these guys? What's the name of them? Well, in the meeting notes, if you follow Blender Today or the meeting notes, then you will see that there is all the updates, and then there are weekly reports, people reporting what they have done. And there is 3, 6, 9 people, but there are more Blender developers than that. Well, because these are the ones that have to report, because they are actually paid by the Blender Foundation, either full-time or part-time. So it's 6 developers full-time plus 3 part-time. So pretty exciting. Actually, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's more than 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full-time. Yes, and Sebastian, Philip, and Dalai part-time. So it's just wow. You can see how many people clicked on this. Dalai clicked 207 times. Dalai, you're popular boy. What did you do last week? I'm curious now. Well, you see, this is how you can stalk your favorite developers. And you can see how Dalai was working on getting the stereo workflow in Blender 2.8 back. So pretty neat. pretty. Somebody tweeted at me saying the pretty amazing. Like, I don't know. It was funny. You have to read it. Next, the Workbench supports depth of field. This was something that it was in 2.7 actually. If you run 2.7, do I have 2.7 clear? See, Blender 2.7.9. There you go. So in Blender 2.7, you you kind of had everything in one viewport. You didn't have different engines for the viewport. So it was pretty much render mode, or you had solid, but you have some sort of depth of field, but it wasn't really there. It was like a mix. So now this is the new engine, the Workbench engine, which now features depth of field, and it works exactly the same as it did in the past. I think it hasn't changed much. You don't enable it from here, from the end panel, but you enable it from the viewport. So if I select it, at home, at work, I already switched to right click select. Now I'm getting used to left click select here on my computer at home, because I reinstalled everything, by the way, off topic, but I I had to reinstall the operating system, but it works super fine. I'm using Pop OS now. All right, let's move. The Workbench, the new depth of field, it works exactly the same. It has a depth of field. You just change it from, it has to be enabled. No, wait, Workbench Engine, depth of field, there you go. So it's actually here in the shading panel, you can enable depth of field, and it just change it from the camera and it will just work. So you have a toggle if you want it on and off. By default is off, like in 2.7, but if more people don't have an issue with it, then it could be maybe on by default, but it will look weird because it will be fuzzy by default. So let me know what you guys think about that. Depth of field is so handy. Why? Maybe you ask, why is it there? Why just not use Eevee for it? Well, because maybe if you are doing layout, for example, you have a shot that it has you're doing layout, your objects, you don't have shaders yet, then in that case it's pretty handy to have it, because you just move around and you don't have to worry about all the shaders compiling. You just have the default or even like random colors, and then you have some depth of field there. So it's a like a game, it's approximation depth of field, so it's not like super high quality, but it's fast. That's what is important. So it's fast to compute and it just works. Next, Pop OS. Sounds like you have a Telio. No, I don't have a Telio. I have a Dell XPS. I already talked about it. I have a video where I explain what I did. I have a Dell XPS, and I was using Ubuntu 17.10, but there is some issue with the graphics card going on, so I couldn't update. So now I have Pop OS from System 76. This is not sponsored by any in any way. I wish. Is just a very nice OS. It's Ubuntu with NUM with some tweaks, and that makes it nice and good default. So if you have to recommend someone that is just starting, then you should use this one. Sculpt Topology Rake. How awesome is that? Oh, well, okay, let's show off some of the operating system first. Cheers, props. I was going to have, you know, when for birthdays they have these like numbers, the gold number, silver numbers in the back, and confetti and stuff, but I think we already have enough plastic trash in the world. I was about to buy it. It was like a few, and no, it's just, let's not make so much trash. Let's I wanted to show you this is the one that I'm using, Pop OS 18.10. And something that I really liked actually is that in for example, if you want to see your Wacom settings, you just search for Wacom. And here, now I don't have it plugged in, so I'm gonna do something that you're not supposed to do on any operating system, which is plugging things. The plug and play thing is a lie. You know, it doesn't always work, especially on other operating systems. But now let's see, I'm gonna plug it in now, and voila, it works. It shows up stylus. You can change, you can map the buttons, and then tablet. It's for the tablet itself. So then you can test your settings, and it should be working with oh, I don't have the thing enabled. Wait, This is why you're on testing. Oh, because I have the other tablet on. Huh. I have another tablet, a secondary tablet, which is maybe not the best way to use it. But because I had another, the one with the screen. But the topology rake of Sculpt is a new feature that it's been added recently, and it's focused mainly, at first I didn't know exactly what it did, but it basically just kind of makes the stroke to follow the direction of the like makes the topology to follow the direction of the stroke. So let's see, let's start from scratch, sculpting, and eek, why is it not really subdivided? Let's start again. Sculpting. Huh? Interesting. It should be start subdivide. Okay, let's add the topo. And when you start sculpting, say for example you make a shape like a crease, like this. So the way it's done by default, it's kind of a messy. Here, let's here. So it's kind of a messy shape when you have this like indentation, these gaps in the mesh. If you move topology rake all the way to 1, then you will see, it's very subtle, but you will see that the topology follows the line of my brush. So it's so much nicer, and it's not enabled by default because it has some performance hit. So if you have like a super very high poly mesh, then you shouldn't wireframe, that's a good idea. Then you shouldn't use it because you wouldn't notice a big difference, and it's just a bit heavy on your computer. So pretty neat. You see, it follows the shape as you're painting. It looks much better here. So if you have a much dense mesh, then you wouldn't notice a big difference. So next, you see there are some Sculpt improvements coming to 2.8. People are complaining that don't. They are. And the patch from Pablo Dobarro, it's actually moving forward. His patch on here, where can we see it? Oh, face normal, sample normal. So is asking for feedback on this feature. He's developing a tool or a feature that makes the brush to follow the shape, or like to be oriented according to the normal of the object underneath. So it makes it very easy to see where you're going to be sculpting, or if you're at the edge of the mesh, then you'll see it's pretty straightforward in other softwares, but in Blender still hasn't been implemented yet, and he is doing it. But there is this thing, like there is one way which is accurate and a bit slow, and there is the other way that is less accurate but is faster. So which way to go? And you should check it out. So his Twitter is PabloDP606. You should follow him, and he's posting great stuff, and he's an amazing artist. If you see his stuff, like, look at that. It's almost a shame that he's now a developer. Like, please don't stop making art. It's pretty nice. Okay, yes, continue making awesome features, but don't stop making. Look at this art. It's just beautiful. Anyway, the software developer, a 3D artist, a software developer from Spain. That's insane. How can you mix both things so different? Awesome. Hats off. Really good job. Let's move on. More stuff. Mac OS support for OpenMP. I have a few more updates than this actually. Let's see on my daily weekly updates list. I read all the logs. I get the newspaper, grab a cup of coffee, and then I read the Blender commit logs. This thing about macOS support for OpenMP is basically a library that it's already in Windows and Mac and Linux for making simulations, for example, or Fluid Sim, Cloud Sim, Smoke. The Mac version didn't have this yet, so if you notice any slowdowns, like when doing simulations on a Mac compared to Linux or Windows, then this is why. And now it's there, so it's on par with the rest. It's catching up. Next next feature. Oh yeah, I have a happy ending here. I have this link, a happy ending story. What started as a tweet this morning. So basically in the morning, well, on the previous Blender Today, I mentioned how it was kind of annoying that in Blender, if you previously in Blender 2.7, for example, when you had a lamp object, the icon shown here would change depending on the type of lamp. I was kind of annoying because then with the new icons even worse, because you don't only have to remember the shape, you also have to remember the shape of each kind of light, which is the one shown here in the outliner. So I mentioned that how annoying it was and how it was maybe good for a new developer to jump in and do the change. So Job Peters say, hey, yesterday during Blender Today livestream, you mentioned a small UI improvement, and he did it. Should I make a patch? Yes, please. So I answered, he made a patch. He also made another patch before that about implementing the option for snapping in the UV editor, that you can not only snap to the corners of a pixel, like that was already there, but he implemented so you can also snap to the center of a pixel, which is very nice when you're working with low resolution textures or doing pixel art and you need to know exactly where you are. It's an extra option for snapping, so that's pretty nice. He did it himself, and now a piece of Blender 2.8 is his. Well, all of it. It's your own 3D software, all of it, every piece of line. The next improvements, and yeah, clipping. Last week I talked about how clipping yes, that's the emoji. The last week I talked about how the new clipping was working only in edit mode, the Alt B. I was only working for edit mode, and if you watch the video, yeah, from last week, you would see that there was it was cutting not very precisely. It was showing like the selection was still showing, and it didn't have this kind of cone, which I'm not sure. Do you guys like this kind of cone? At first, when I tried last week, I was missing it. It's like I miss the cone. I need to know where it's cutting. But somebody else on Blender chat on the community, if you don't know, blender.chat is a kind of a Slack / Discord alternative kind of a thing, where yeah, it's a chat basically on Blender from Blender Today or anything. Basically, you can make your own channels. So we were chatting there, and he was commenting how it was awesome that the new implementation of the clipping didn't have Alt B. It didn't have the cone, and yeah, maybe it was annoying for some. Maybe I think I like it. And you know what? I would love to have an option, you know, like the spot area lamps have the show cone. This one to show like here, to show the where is the light. So if you have an object that is halfway in and out, you can see if it's affecting or not. Well, I I would love to see that feature, but for the camera, so you can actually see where your camera is affecting. So the way I used to do it, it was kind of nasty. It was going to the camera view and then draw an Alt B the clipping of the camera. So I just clip like more or less around the same shape of the camera, and then I would see if the objects are inside or outside of my view. So that way I can see my object is inside, and then there's a few parts missing. Well, so that was my what happens if I move the camera? It's probably not gonna work. So if I select the camera, I move it, no, it goes out of the view. Yeah, it doesn't update. So you see, if that was an option in the camera, like a show cone or show frustrum is the word, right? Then it would be pretty neat, pretty amazing. All right, next. That was a bit of a feature request and showing what it was done, and yeah, now it works on the other modes too, on vertex paint, weight paint, and all of that. So it's awesome. Wow, this IPA is it's pretty bitter. I like it. Next, bring back the possibility to override the camera per view. That was a feature from 2.7, but now it's back. So if you have a camera on one view, you can have a different camera from another view. So it's just basically from the other camera, you can use a local camera and then select which is the camera. So you can have two different cameras in the in two different viewports. So that was possible before if you use the local layer, like the view, like the old local view. Now you can also do it from here. So pretty nice. You can have different cameras in different viewports. But the one when you press F12 is gonna be this one, the front one. Even if the mouse is over there, let's see. It should be. Otherwise, no, it's with the mouse over. Oh, that's even better, I think. So mouse over this viewport, it renders this. Mouse over this viewport, it renders the other view. But mouse over the outliner, it should render the view down here. So F12. Okay, yes. Okay. So it's a bug or a feature. It's a, let's call it a feature. It's pretty nice feature. Because if you render from command line or in the farm, it's gonna use the main camera anyway. So let's continue with the question. The more updates, so then I can jump into the questions. What else? UI, make editors chord splitting more reliable. Yes, if you had issues by splitting windows and like by dragging them from the corners, now the code for it is a bit more flexible. It doesn't overlap with the button anymore, because it used to overlap the button here to select the different editors with the hotspot for splitting. So that was an issue. Not anymore. But still, if you're teaching someone Blender, maybe it's better to just tell them about right click on the border and then join, because it's just more like predictable. You just click on the border of the editors and then you split it. The horizontal scroll bar was overlapping last row of files. Yeah, when you open a file, or when you open a file, the horizontal scroll bar was overlapping the name of the files. That's another fix. There is so many little fixes. By the way, the has been a number of sliders and number sliders and many units in Blender that didn't have the unit. So maybe distance was in pixels, but the slider didn't say pixels. Now there has been a thread, and the community has been going through many of those sliders and features and properties, and has been applying the exact proper unit for it. So it should be a bit more readable, more user-friendly. Then I think that's it. The last big news is ArchiMesh. ArchiMesh, if you know it, is amazing, by the creator of Blender Grease Pencil 2.0-ish. the new Grease Pencil, Antonio, he also happens to be amazing enough to make ArchiMesh, which many use. ArchiPack, sorry. ArchiPack, but I don't know why I call it ArchiMesh. It's not building for me because it's not running for me because I don't have NumPy, but that's my fault. If you download Blender from the builder.blender.org, you're gonna have it, don't worry. I just happened to compile my Blender without a Python library because I'm lazy and I miss all the fun of having ArchiMesh. ArchiPack now it's called. It's in Blender built-in add-ons. That is all. I think I will start getting on the questions, otherwise it will be a bit too late. By the way, in the meantime, while I go reading the questions, you should check out the not now, otherwise you miss the live, but later the oh, this is I'm not gonna show the spoiler. You should watch it. Yeah, there's a nice acting there at the end, at the beginning. You will see some render stuff, you will see some OpenGLs, you will see actual renders that I worked on last week. That's pretty awesome. Well, this is not awesome, but this one I like how it turned out. It's a very happy moment in the film, so I'm happy to have worked on it. So check it out. I'm finally doing art, isn't it? I'm gonna cry. Let's go to the questions. Blender.today. Community-driven Blender news. So here, the 34 comments. Let's start. By the way, if you vote them, if you upvote them here, they're gonna show up first. So if you have the same question, please upvote them so they show up in at the top. All right. So this user 092012225 says, why isolate is not working with Cycles render view? Is this a bug? I think it is a bug because I also found that issue and I miss it so much. I've been using it, I've been rendering with the GPU and with Cycles and basically modeling with Cycles on and just being great. He also says, you also teased us with a potential NVIDIA RTX features. Could you give us more info? Sharing video RAM between cards with NVLink is planned. What about Eevee? I don't know about Eevee. I don't know about NVLink because I'm not up to date with that, with like having more than one memory card, and how to ask the developers. But the RTX features, they're not yet implemented. All the advanced features in the RTX are not there. What I said was, if you look back, I say that I am using an RTX graphics card at work. There is there are a few RTXs done going around because they have to be tested with Blender and stuff, but there is no code for it. The only thing that I'm using is the gazillion CUDA cores that it has, so no special features. It's just that they are really fast. And I'm also using the fact that they have, this one that I'm using has 24 gigs of RAM and my system has 32, so it's almost as much video RAM than RAM, which is amazing because then I can fit the whole film there. The shorts from Spring, they're around 15 gigs, 16 gigs, so being able to fit the whole shot in GPU is super awesome. Next question. Dorian says, hi Pablo. Hi. I don't understand. 5 new developers that were already for Blender for free are now working full-time, or brand new devs? How many devs are working full-time now and how many before? This is not clear. Where's the add-on that you made to reproduce the old file system from 279? Okay, the add-on, I don't know if it works anymore, let me know, but that is on my GitHub, which is github/venomgfx. Don't judge me, that's the nickname that I selected when I was 13. I like Venom from Spider-Man and graphics because I was making graphics. Addonitos, Blender UI is called Addonitos. Addonitos, there should be collection quickies, I think. Header of the 3D view, style 2.7 style collection browser. Yeah, this is the one. I made it in June, so probably it's already broken. If somebody wants to fix it, please make a pull request. Here is on I'm gonna put it on the chat here on my GitHub. The other question, I don't understand. 5 new developers? No, there's not. It's not 5 new developers. It's 5 developers that were already working on Blender, plus new developers that were not working full time for Blender, and then they were not working for free. All of them. If you go and see here the meeting notes, you will see Brecht, Bastien, Campbell, Clément, Dalai, Jacques, Philip, Sebastian, Sergey. Sergey is, and Brecht and Clem and Jack are working at the Blender Animation Studio there at the Institute. So the Blender Cloud was paying for Sergey. Brecht, I think it was also the cloud for the time being. So the Blender Cloud is actually paying that, and the fact that now there is a development funding means we can actually keep them on board even if the cloud is not doing really great, and the cloud can also be used for getting more developers on board because we need many more. Also, Dalai was working last year, but then he had to stop because we ran out of money. Blender ran out of money, but now he can be back. So that it's also pretty nice. And Jack Luke, animation notes, everything notes is also working now with the development fund at the Blender Studio. So, but the studio is paid by also the cloud. So like the building itself. So it's a mix. The Philip and Sebastian, they're new to the whole Blender Foundation part. They go through the bug fixes, bug reports, and they fix some stuff, but they also go through all the bugs and they assign them to other developers. They ask the people like, hey, what is going on? What is the, like, basically everything that is a mess and nobody wants to do, which is the bug tracker, is now paid by the Blender Development Fund, which is awesome. This is only gonna get better. The more people we can have, the more we can hire them. So also the other big project of this year, which is interactive mode, it's also being paid by the Blender Development Fund. So yes. The tutorial. Another question. Monday is the best day. 2 questions. Does Heavy? Hey, it's like 4 questions now. Cheating. I have 2 questions. Does Eevee support emissive material? No. Blackbody? I'm not sure, but no, not emissive. Will lighting equivalence between cycles and Eevee be adjusted? Yes, but like it was adjusted not long ago, but it's tricky because now a lot of people are like they already work with Eevee, so it's hard to match it. But previously it was fixed. It was like 10 times factor, and that was already fixed. Intensity of colors, blackbody. Like the idea is that they both look as close as possible. But yeah, I mean, there's a limit on how far you can go. But the idea is one day they both look similar. So Dorian says, why eCycles was refused to the main build? Speed up cycles by 2 at least with many cards. So eCycles. Yeah, it's the one that makes cycles faster with some specific graphics cards. I can't really give any official answer because I'm not sure exactly why, but my guess is that you shouldn't really put something on master, on the official build, that will only work well with just a number of graphics cards. And I don't know, I only seen stills. How is it with animation? Is it really stable? Because maybe it is, and maybe I'm just talking nonsense here, but we shouldn't be adding, like as in like Blender shouldn't be having technologies that is specific for some hardware only. Or maybe it could, but not if it only works for still scenes. Like a lot of people say, look at this amazing denoiser, it looks great on a still. And then where is the animation? I want to see animation, because Blender is an animation software too. And whatever you do, it has to be stable when you make animation. So you can't compare animation with stills. It's a whole different world. Panics ask, but I don't really have a special answer from this, so hopefully it will be nice. I think the creator said that it will be including it with Blender, like we'll offer it to Blender at the end of the year, something like that. It's on the thread on Blender artists, I think. So if that is the case, that will be amazing. Should we be afraid of losing the right-click support in the long term, more than 2 or 3 years? No. Today at work in the office, I switched to right-click select again because I cannot get used to it. I gave it a good try for 2 weeks, full time, working 9 hours, 10 hours a day with left click, and I'm switching back. But no, we wouldn't. Don't worry. Daniela Palm asks, hey Pablo, question. A gentleman on right-click select posted something about adding more noises to Blender, more noise types. I know we want to keep Blender small, but do you think there will be any plans of adding a couple? Are there actual... Oh, this is very nice. Well, if they're procedural, they're not gonna really make a lot of weight. It's not gonna make it too heavy. If they're procedural, if they are just math functions. So I don't know if this is already Blender and if it's a patch. No, this is from Cinema 4D. But if someone has a patch for it, or if you're a developer and want to get involved, maybe it's a good way to start implementing these noises. They're procedural. They wouldn't use a lot of space. So look into it. It's probably some math that you have to copy paste. No, not really. Thank you, Arturo, for contributing to Blender today. Yay. Next question, the drag. When will the tabs in Blender get icons? I don't have an answer for that. I hope soonish, but there are so many other UI topics left. And we were talking with the developers and with the other UI team members, and yeah, there are things that are missing, but there's also some other bugs that are keeping Blender behind, and we are in a production schedule, so we have to get some very big more fixes in, like more stable. Just we can work on the icons, yes, but the priority is to make Blender not crash. So the UI is gonna get love, but I think it's once we reach that crash free like line. So yes, priorities. David Mani or Manny 159, can we get add object in edit mode other than cube, like sphere or something? Oh, like when you're here, like adding a cube. Yeah, actually that should be pretty simple. The add cube, this is a proof of concept. It's not like the final implementation. It was just like, hey, we can make use of this stuff. So the answer is yes, we could. We just need to have someone making it. If you're a new developer, again, look at the code for add cube. I remember Campbell, he implemented it, saying that he made it in a way that it could be expanded or taken from other like by other developers as an example and then expanded. So that would be nice. It's just for like any other primitive, and maybe it could be like UI wise, maybe it could just be the same icon. You click hold, and it will show you different primitives. Maybe that would be pretty nice. Next question, Nicholas Masterton. View clipping is awesome, isn't it? It's amazing. Imagine also if you could control the clip with a controller widget. This would provide the ability to create architectural cross sections through objects without the computational expense of a Boolean operation. Yeah, so what would you want? Like a widget where you can transform it? That's actually a pretty good idea. The thing is that where would you put the transforms? In the edge, but at the beginning or at the end, or all along the line? Kind of be tricky. Or maybe it could be a tool to edit the clipping border. Maybe with a tool and widgets. Luciano asks, are we getting back a way to show different locations in one viewport and some other in the other viewport? Collections, no location, collections. That was really important in 279 with layers. Local mode, yeah, that is a thing that was implemented, if I'm not wrong. So if you have another collection and I add here a monkey, so I have the monkey collection 2 and here, and if I disable collection 2 here, no, it disables in both. But yeah, there are plans of like, actually this UI was for that, was for making it per to only have one collection shown in each one. That was the whole point. But anyway, it should be implemented because it was in 2.7 and it's super handy. Stencil, is there a plan to have a material overrides for render layers? That's already the case. It's they are back. I don't know if you checked lately, but the option should be there. Where was it? It's in cycles, view layers, override. There you go. There is a material override for cycles, not for Eevee yet. Maybe that's what you were wondering, if it's gonna be there. Good question. I could ask the developers, but it's there for cycles. That hasn't been moved. It's just on the override panel under view layer settings, the old render layer. Brad Leher says, hey Pablo, great work. Thanks for all the video. Thanks for watching. Quick questions. Is there any development on the particle systems? Yes and no. The animation nodes, that project is the project from Chuck Luke. He's working now on everything nodes, which is going to tackle the particle system. So at the moment, no, but in the future, yes. Today there was a big question at the Blender Animation Studio, which I was on my way here, but basically we have a dog with a lot of hair, and that hair has to be simulated. So that's gonna be tricky. I think tricky is just it's not making justice in how much of a pain is going to be to simulate the hair in this little fella, because it's just moving so much. It's jumping, it's long hair, even it's like a little Sintel running. So well, it's like the ship from, it's actually more difficult than the ship of the Cosmos Laundromat, because in those they have the hair very messy, whereas the one in Spring has it more like you can actually see it. So if there are intersections, you're gonna see it. In the Cosmos you can just get away because it's just so messy and it's windy, so it's gonna be tricky. How to do that? Maybe it has to be rigged, unfortunately. I don't know. Curve guides, if you have any ideas, drop us below. Julio Cesar, any estimated time for move files to work with Eevee? No, I don't have any news on that. I can poke developers again. I can ask again, but No, I assume it's gonna be ready for 2.880, like the first release, but no estimated date of arrival. Alexo asks, "Hey Pablo, thank you, and thank you and the team, the Blender team. Why not combine the scale and rotate tools? I so want to have it that way. I think we should be having the same system we have in 2.7. It wasn't a bad system. It was enable, disable. You could use it with anything else, and it will always be there, no matter what you had. I think I really like this approach of 2.7. In 2.8, you have to, like, if you want to have this, but then you want to use another tool, they go away. And it's just, there should be a way to make them persistent. Like, not only combine them into one tool, but just be one thing, because then you place the 3D course and then they're gone. And then it's just like, I know it's beginner friendly, but it's a bit too friendly. Just let's make them learn, go through what we have gone. Let's move on. Eduardo, hola. Is there a way to always that we click on an empty area and drag it became automatically a box selection, then auto come back to the current tool, move, scale, rotate? But it will be like having two tools. I don't know how would that work. Maybe in the code wise, I don't know. Maybe with it can be done just with the key map. But yeah, it's one of those things that you think it makes sense, but maybe we have to try it just to see. For example, recently the option to move the objects along their local axis first, or like the axis, the transform orientation that you have set specifically, it was added. So basically, if you have an object rotated and then you press like you want to move it in Y, for example, it will first move it in the local or custom transform orientation that you have, and then if you press it again, it will go to the global orientation. So in 2.7 it was the other way around. It was first global, then the custom, and it kind of made sense to make it first go into the custom orientation. But now I miss this the old other way of working, because I use middle click for locking to an axis. So I do move and then middle click, and it always goes to the local axis first, to the custom orientation, and not the other one. And if I press it again, it goes away. So I think we're missing either like a second click to make it go to global, or a way to change it again, because then you have to press it twice and then it's not as fast anymore. I found myself going in and out all the time. How did the developers team react to a algorithmic takeover by Adobe? Already scheduling texture paint tools called Quest? Well, if you didn't know the news, Algorithmic, the Substance people, they are now an Adobe company, like the logo says up here. They have been acquired by Adobe. So there was this a bunch of tweets and drama going on regarding, okay, what's gonna happen, and then why is Blender gonna take over? It's not like Blender didn't plan to have nice feature for painting in the past. Like that was one of the plans, but this made it a bit more urgent, because there is no if you have to have the, I don't know how Adobe manages their subscription models and stuff, but a open source version is much needed. And the people from GIMP and Krita and Inkscape and Godot, they were all supporting Blender in that sense, and there were tweets going on and go very popular, and people crying and emojis, and it was very excited. Hype intensifies. Very exciting times. Let's move on. About a code quest. Well, I think it's needed, yes. but also a sculpt call quest is needed. So maybe it could be a mix of both. Let's see. Is it possible, Riaru asks, to add the ability to add modifiers to a collection? I would wait for modifier nodes. It will be possible, but once we have modifier nodes, that would be like the perfect way to add it. But before, with overrides, maybe with static overrides, no, dynamic overrides, but it's kind of tricky. Let's move to another question. Bobin asks, hi Pablo, I don't have a question, but 2 suggestions. In the pop-up that appears in the left bottom corner where adding an element, there should be a field called name to name the object added. Yeah, it's on the T panel. Like when you, or no, actually it's not there anymore in the item panel. No, it was removed. And then the, oh yeah, maybe it could be the name field there exposed. You also have it in the outliner, where you can do control click and then you add it. But yeah, maybe if your outliner is super big and you're somewhere else in the scene, maybe it's handy to have it. Good suggestion. Next, when adding geometry in the previously mentioned pop-up, there should be the possibility to specify the size of the object in X, Y, and pertinent Z axis. Now there's only one field, size, and it's limiting. Oh yeah, yeah, that I agree. It's only one axis, like one size for all the dimensions, but yeah, it should be. You can also use the N panel transform, but yeah, it's not the same. Neutronic asks, I recently switched to Ubuntu for 18.04. Hey, congrats. And compiled Blender Master using the instructions here, but it isn't working really well. I guess some dependencies are either missing or outdated, since I can subdivision modifier to work with faces. I only works with edges. Do you have OpenSubdiv and does your graphics card support OpenSubdiv? If Blender downloaded from the builder works the same, then it shouldn't be an issue. How do you properly compile Blender nowadays? I think this is not outdated at all. This is exactly what I did the other day. So it should be fine. Maybe this question you can actually ask it on Dev Talk. There is the Blender development, building Blender here, building Blender. There is a whole forum section dedicated to building Blender, so maybe you could ask there. Give us as much details of your computer as you can. All right. Oh, it's already 10. It's past 10. So 5 more questions, quickly, super quick. Number 1, Eric, Pablo, could you find out what is happening with metal in Blender? Oh, Mac, there was an offer from someone to help, but I haven't heard anything more. I haven't heard anything. My old Mac still supports OpenGL. Why doesn't Blender recognize my card? So many things could be. I have no idea, sorry. But I don't have experience with Mac, but it should work. If it used to work, then it should work. But yeah, maybe it's too old. If it's too old and it doesn't support OpenGL for 3.3, then it just won't work. 2.8. It would work the previous version, but not 2.8. Question number 2. Is there a possibility already of baking vector displacement maps in 2.8? No, not yet. It's not there yet. I'm sorry. Number 3. Is there a way to be informed about comments on certain right-click select Blender community topics? The only way at the moment is the notifications app here. Do you think you could be subscribed and get an email notification? Right now you're gonna get these kind of notifications, but they don't send emails yet because we think that a world without getting emails is better. But if you think it's important, then we can add it. Thomas, guys, hello. How to save PNG, JPEG, baked texture in linear color space? This is vital for PBR. But when you save, you shouldn't, doesn't it let you save? Like when you render, you preview it, yeah, you should be able to save it. If you do it 16 and then the color management here and render color management, here you have this should be enough. If you use view as render, display, I can't find the option right now. It's been moved, but it's somewhere here, view as render, basically. All right, last but not least, and did you know that on Google Trends, the keyword Blender 3D, Nigeria is ranked #1? Nigeria is fully looking at Blender. That's awesome. No, I didn't know. That's amazing. Let's keep pushing it. In Latin America, I think I know that Blender is growing a lot because, yeah, it's the open source option for studios, for companies, for everybody, and schools, universities. So the fact that it's also growing in Nigeria and so many other developing countries is nothing but good news. So until what, next week? Yes. When is next week? It's already eek. It's gonna be February. Eek. Yes. This is nice. The notification center from Pop OS. I really like it. I'm getting used to it now, but it shows like it's like a phone. It shows you the updates that you have for every app. You can update each one individually. Anyway, off topic. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. Sorry for all the questions that I couldn't answer. I tried to go as fast as possible, but there's always so many things going on that there's never enough time. But that's why we are gonna get together next week at the same time, in the same channel, and we're gonna go out with style. Same way. I started with a different song today. Did you notice? It wasn't the Zelda one. It was the Mario one when you finish it, because it was just a big achievement. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the Blender Development Fund. It's just amazing that there is now actually full-time 6 developers full-time working on bug fixes and making it stable and making cycles super awesome, and Eevee and the dependency graph, the so important dependency graph, and it's just amazing. So let's meet again, because I bet there will be tons of things to show. It's been a pleasure. I will go out with style. So if you're wearing headphones now, I don't think it's too loud, so I'm gonna just play our song. Yes, bye in 5, 3, 2. It's hard for me to not play it super loud, because otherwise it's gonna be on the microphone as well. I should wear headphones. Thank you, everyone. It's just amazing. I love being here. So let's meet next week, same time, same place, for Blender Today 48. Ciao.